Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Well, today we're going to show you the 4-step process to getting a door ready to be put back on the car. So I hope everyone had a great week. Things have been going good along here. As you see, I've been working on the doors, and I left one specifically for this weekend. So I kind of go over the whole video, right from the way it comes off the car to when it's getting put on the car. Now, I really shouldn't say the way it comes off the car, because I actually went through just with a light polish, not even a heavy cut. And I just thought I'd rub this down, run the drill over it with the brush to see what would happen. And here we are. We've got rid of that oxidization. And the turd brown car is a nice, deep burgundy metallic. But I brought the shine up mostly so I could kind of show you the defects in this door. And as you can see by the waves there, that is the profile of my ceiling. You can see how big this dent is. This little scratch that's right there, those little scratches have actually dented that door almost 7 inches, maybe 6 inches long is that dent. And then you look down here, you can see there's a lot of deflection in the reflection, and that's because there is a huge crease that you can see right along here. Somebody has pushed on that door and bent that in. And then it also gives us this crease right here that we can see on the end. This door was hit. There's a large dent here. And also down here we got a pretty good damage. But that was why I really wanted to polish it up. Because when it's flat, it looks kind of like a smooth door. But as soon as we get a shine on her, you can start to see the deflections and the problems that we have with this thing. So this is how the door comes off the car. Our next step we'll be doing is we're going to go into the first sand. This is basically down to almost all bare steel. I'm not worried about the top right now. The DA sander goes in here. But on the face, I'll be using my new air file. And this is what it first looks like. So you can see all the dents and everything, the low spots, the high spots, huge deflection, huge bend down in the bottom there. And then we carry on to our first heavy coat of body fill. And this is a flood coat covering the large areas. If you remember back, this was the one that had the huge rust spot on the corner. That's been flooded in, and I've also done the other dents. Now it is smooth to the touch, straight across that door now, except for the dark spots, which are low spots in the body fill, which I have to address today. Now, once that's done, then we go into the finished product, where we prime it, and we throw it on the car. So this is the main tool we'll be using today. This is a Chicago Pneumatic air file. This was actually given to me by one of my TikTok viewers. I'm very appreciative of it. It's a large 16-inch. It's a large surface, and this is going to give us that good even stroke for the profile of this door. Now, this oscillates back and forth. The proper way to use this thing is approximately 45-degree angle. Keep an even pressure, not a lot. You don't need to put pressure on it, but keep an even pressure. We're going to be working this thing at a 45. Back and forth, full strokes around the door. We will work on a few small areas as well. That won't be full strokes, but we'll work back and forth. Then we'll change it directions, and then we'll go back the other way. As we do that, you're going to get all those different profiles of highs and lows that you see here, and that's really going to show us how much work we got to do on the door. So here's the paper we're going to be using. Got myself a box of Blue Fire. Now there is 50 in a box. I only ordered 20. And we're starting off with the 100 grit. Now, this is going to be pretty aggressive. It's going to take that paint down fairly quick. Though this original paint from the 60s, this stuff is hard. And man, is it hard to get off. So with the 100 grit, it's going to eat through there pretty good. Give it a nice scuff, but also a polish. And once we get down to the bare steel, that 100 grit's going to give a good etch on there, a good surface for the primer, the bond to. And hopefully, we'll never have a problem with body fill or primer flaking off this thing. But we're going to throw it outside because that air file does make a mess, and I just completely cleaned and vacuumed the entire shop. So without further ado, throw it outside. We're going in fast motion. Feel free to jump to the next part because it is going to take a while, and I'm going to try to do the whole process right from start to finish. So I just decided to do a little bit of quick hammer work. Just grabbed the closest hammer. Now this is down pretty even. Pulled up on this edge just a little bit. Of course, I worked this corner here just a little bit. And I went around that crease. So now actually, if we look into the light, I got, oh geez, I probably took out about 2/3 of that crease. Just working that dent down was enough to start bringing it back up just a little bit. Now, of course, there are little hammer dents because I don't have a proper dolly hammer. But it's enough that once I sand this down, it's just going to use a lot less Bondo to fill that in. And it'll be a lot less metal work. Once I get this done, I'll be able to see the real low spots, and I'll be able to carry on from there. So anyway, now it is time to sand. All right, so the first go is going to be a little bit slow until I get through this hard layer first. Respirator on. I have my ears covered because it does get a little loud. It is a bit loud. We're going to start off slow here, then we'll jump into high speed and see how it goes. Hey, I'm sorry for the wind there, people. Hopefully you can hear okay. But, so the first go here, you can kind of see our situation now. So up the top here, we're doing very good. Coming across this white paint that was part of the stripe, it is super thin compared to everything else, so it's come off really fast. But over here, you can see we have a high spot. We're down to steel already. Now it is a fairly smooth transition. I can feel a little bit of an edge right here. And then you can also see where some more high edges are coming. And this very outside edge hasn't been touched yet. But this is the crimped side. There's 3 layers of metal here. So there's not a whole lot I can do with this. So what I'll do is I'll keep bringing this down until I get to steel. And once I do, then I'll look at sand this edge, and it'll probably be only maybe a 1/16 if you're lucky. It's almost catching the edge here. It's that fine of a slope. So once I get it, I'll grind that down, and when I do my body fill, I'll put just a little skim across there and try to catch it. Now down here, you can see there's quite, once I get the dust off, you can see where I'm not touching. You can see all the low spots here. Got quite a high spot here. That's gonna have to be heated up and hit down with a hammer. And then going across here, everything's been doing good. We got a high spot here with a very deep dent. Some more high spots. There's that big dent there that'll have to be worked on from the inside. And then there's a couple other small high spots here and there. And this edge, of course, there's high edge, but I managed to bring that down enough that the sandpaper is grabbing the whole thing. So I'm gonna throw on a fresh sheet. I finally got I'm right through to the primer, the red primer now. This is the gray primer here. That's bare steel. This is the gray primer, which I think is a sealer. So we have the metal, the gray sealer, the reddish brown primer, and then the top coat. So now that top coat's gone, it's a lot softer. I'll get a new sheet of paper and we'll rip into it. There we are, blown off. Got it all wiped down with a towel so we can see the actual colors what we go in here. And in the end, really, we only got one big area to mess with. But it's not as bad as you think. Now it looks big, but if you follow the sand lines from bare steel to the different primers, and on the way in, you'll see that really it's only from here to here. That's the only edge. And if we put a straight edge across that, it's not even quite a 16th in deviation in there. So that's how fine of a dent shows up when you use that big air sander, that air file, to clean it up. Now, it is deep enough though that I will flip this door over, use a piece of wood and a hammer, and I'll work that a little bit and then come back over and resand it to try to get it better. But for the most part, the sanding is done. The small areas you see, the dark, really dark spots, those are little dents. So they're small. They're small enough that the sander has just touched them as well. So really a couple thick coats of high build primer will probably take care of that. But I am going to go through and fill them. So I'm going to get out the DA sander. Using the edge, I'm going to hit this and take this right down to bare steel the best I can on every dent. Same thing as in here. I'll grind this out right to bare steel as well. And every other spot that is going to get filled. And then I'll do a light little skim coat over top of everything. Let it set up, and then sand it down and see how it looks. All right, I've tried tapping that little crease out there, but it's just down and up, down and up. It's popping in and out. So what I'm going to try, I don't have any body tools like for dent repair. I'm going to try the end of my punch here, or my pry bar, and the crease is right there, and I'm just going to work it back and forth a bit, see if I can stretch that out a little. All right, so I tried rolling it, and we'll see how that worked. Yeah, I'd hit it down and it just pop, it'd come right back up. I could not get that little crease out. So I kind of rolled it back and forth, worked it for quite a while, and I just put a quick shot of flat gray primer on there. Gonna let that set up, then I'm gonna scuff over that with a sand and block just to see what I got left behind. All right, after that little scuffing, you can see how much the metal has come in now. So really all we are is that line, just a little bit of a edge around it. And actually I made a little high spot here, so I'll use the corner of my hammer just to take that down and this down just a little bit. Put the DA sander in there to get the rest of that primer out of there. I'm gonna call that done. So now it's time to mix some body fill and put on our little skim coats. There we go, our first layer of body fill. Now, I'm definitely not the best at this at all. I'm still learning. I'm sure better guys wouldn't need as much, but I find better to have a little extra, sand it off, than have to keep sand and fill, sand and fill, sand and fill. So, we're gonna give this a few hours, get it to harden up so I can throw the sander on it. I'm gonna move this aside. While I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm gonna work on the other door I started on my TikTok video. Get some fill on there, and then I'll set that aside, and I'll move on to the other one. Needs a little more sanding before it gets a go. There we have it, the second round of sanding, and that couldn't have went any better. Man, is that smooth. Everything feathered out beautifully. The whole bottom of the door went well. Everything is good to go. So, now that I got it in here, I'm gonna do my little orbital sander here. It's got a vacuum attached to it, so I don't really worry about it in the shop. We're just going to scuff this up. There's not a whole lot to go on here. A couple little scratches, nothing big, nothing deep. Just going to scuff that up. Then I'll have to come in with my hand and do this little tiny bevel in here all the way around. Get that done. Then I think we'll get primer on it. So there we are. We got a quick wet coat on here of primer. Even though it's primer, that thing is smooth. Yeah, of course, it'd have orange peel because it is primer, but if you look at my reflection in there, you can see there's no dents and no deflections from the roof lines, the ceiling lines there. There are none at all. that is perfect. That turned out awesome. So, gonna give this a couple hours to dry. We'll come back and get more of a hands-on check on it. There we go. Still a little damp. You can touch it, but you can feel the wetness in it. But that is our door complete. Happy man, get another one done. But actually, with doing these, I did 2. I ended up getting 2 done while I did this. Now, this one didn't turn out as good on the bottom. There is just a slight ripple that I can see. So I will go over that again before I put it on the car. It's a little more than I want. You know, you do see the spots sometimes where the body fill is, and I'm not worried about that. This fender was the same way, and it's because I do the main sanding with 100 grit, and it shows up in the paint a little bit with the body fill. But I do that just so you get that big bite right off the first coat of paint, or primer, sorry. But all I do is I go over it gently with 320, smooth that off, put on my second coat of primer, and that takes care of it. All those spots go away. Like you'll see right there. You can see the primer, or you can see the body fill under there. It's just because it's really gritty, the sand. But I don't have time to do that today to finish up this video. But next week, come back. You'll see them all completely primed. You'll get the second coat on here after it's been buffed down with 320, and we'll be good to go. Anyway, there you are. I know it was a long video, a lot of sanding, but some people have asked and mentioned, you know, they want to see more of an action and what the process actually is, and that is it. It's I don't know, kind of boring. I do find it satisfying, but it is a little bit boring as I go. So anyway, thanks you all for stopping by. Hope you guys have a great week. Click subscribe. Love to have you follow along. We'll catch you again another time.